You've been in a room like this. Maybe it was a meeting, maybe a group of friends deciding where to go, or a family talking about something that really mattered. Someone said an idea out loud, and one by one, everyone started nodding. And somewhere inside you, a small voice said, "Wait, this doesn't feel right." But you looked around. Everyone seemed so sure, so you swallowed the voice, and you nodded too. Then later, sometimes hours later, sometimes years, you found out you weren't the only one who felt that quiet no. Half the room felt it. And every single one of them stayed silent, for the exact same reason you did. If you've ever gone along with something your gut disagreed with, just because everyone else seemed to agree, this isn't a story about you being spineless. It's a story about something wired deep into all of us, and once you see how it works, you won't be able to unsee it. Psychologists have a name for this. They call it groupthink. It's what happens when the wish to keep the peace to stay part of the group quietly becomes more important than saying what we actually think. It isn't that the people in the room are weak or foolish. Some of the smartest teams in history have walked straight into it. Brilliant people in the same room, all privately doubting the plan, and all convinced they were the only one. Because here's the thing, belonging isn't a small want. For most of human history, being cast out of the group didn't mean awkwardness, it meant danger. The ones who stayed close, who didn't rock the boat, who read the room and blended in, they survived. So your brain learned, long before you were born, that fitting in is safety. And disagreeing out loud feels like risk. So when you go quiet in a room full of nodding heads, you're not failing. You're running a very old program that once kept your people alive. And this doesn't only happen in boardrooms or big important meetings, it happens at the dinner table, when everyone laughs at something and you laugh too, even though it didn't sit right. It happens in group chats, where one opinion forms fast and suddenly it feels too late to say you see it differently. It happens in friendships, in families, in whole communities. Anywhere people care about staying together, this quiet pressure lives. And here's the sad little irony. The more you love a group, the more you want to stay inside it, the louder the pull to agree can get. Which means the people most likely to silence themselves are often the ones who care the most. Let me show you how the trap actually closes. Picture a room where a decision is being made. Somewhere in that room, a few people have doubts. Not loud doubts, just a quiet feeling that something's off. But nobody says it first, because saying it first is the scary part. So each person waits, glances around, and sees everyone else looking calm, everyone else nodding. And here's the cruel little twist. Everyone is reading everyone else's silence as agreement, when really that silence is just other people also afraid to be the first. Psychologists call this the illusion of unanimity. The room feels united, but the unity is a mirage, built out of a dozen people each hiding the very same doubt. Then it gets stronger. Once the group seems to agree, disagreeing doesn't just feel risky, it starts to feel disloyal, like you'd be the problem, the one slowing everyone down. So the doubt goes underground. You censor yourself before anyone even has to. And you know that feeling from the inside, don't you? The words are right there, on the tip of your tongue. You can feel your heart pick up a little. You rehearse the sentence, then rehearse it again, waiting for the right pause. And the pause comes, and it passes, and you say nothing. And afterward, a quiet, familiar disappointment settles in. Not loud. Just the small, private ache of having left yourself out of the conversation one more time. And sometimes, without meaning anything cruel, the group starts protecting the plan. Someone raises a small concern and gets a look. A joke, a come on, we already decided this. Nothing harsh. Just enough of a nudge that the next person quietly learns to keep their mouth shut. Now the circle is complete. The doubters are silent. The silence looks like agreement. The agreement makes doubt feel dangerous. And a room full of intelligent, good-hearted people walks confidently toward a decision that almost none of them fully believed in. And there's one last piece, and it's a strange one. The more a group agrees with itself, the more certain it becomes that it's right. The doubts have vanished, so the plan starts to feel obvious, even brilliant. And anyone outside the group who questions it starts to look like they simply don't get it. Us in here who understand, them out there who don't. That certainty feels wonderful from the inside. It feels like clarity, like being on the right team. But often, it's just the sound of everyone having stopped asking questions at the same time. Real confidence has room for doubt. This kind is confidence with all the doubt quietly removed. Maybe you can already picture a time this happened around you, a choice everyone went along with that you privately weren't sure about. But maybe you can also remember the rarer, better times when someone finally did speak. One person saying the quiet thing plainly, and how the whole mood in the room seemed to loosen. Suddenly it was allowed. Suddenly other people had opinions again. That's the strange hope hidden inside all of this. The same silence that spreads from person to person can be undone by a single honest voice. It only takes one door opening for everyone else to remember they'd been standing in the hallway too. And a soft note here before we go on. If you look back and realize you've spent years going quiet, swallowing what you think, just to keep everyone else comfortable, that can leave a real ache. The feeling of never quite being heard, not even by yourself. You don't have to sort that out alone. Talking it through with someone you trust, or a therapist, isn't weakness. Sometimes it's simply the first place you finally get to say the thing you've been holding for a very long time. So what do you do when you can feel the pull of the room, but you don't want to disappear into it? You don't have to become the person who fights everyone. That's not the goal. The goal is just to keep a little bit of yourself awake, even when the group gets loud. Here's the first thing. Before you look around the room to see what to think, pause and ask yourself quietly, what would I believe about this if I were completely alone? Just for a second. Find your own answer before the room hands you one. You don't have to say it out loud yet. You just have to know it's there. The second thing is smaller than it sounds. When you do feel that quiet doubt, try naming it gently without declaring war. Something like, can I offer a different angle, just so we've looked at it? You're not blowing up the plan. You're opening a door. And here's what almost always happens. The moment one person admits a doubt out loud, you can watch the whole room shift. Someone exhales. Someone says, honestly, I was thinking that too. You weren't the only one. You were just the first one brave enough to say it. And if you're ever the one leading the room, this third thing matters most. Ask for the quiet voices on purpose. Notice who hasn't spoken and make it safe for them to, because the people going along in silence aren't always agreeing with you. Sometimes they're just waiting to see if it's safe to be honest. None of this makes the pull disappear. You'll still feel it, that tug to nod along, to smooth things over, to melt into the agreement of the room. That instinct isn't going anywhere. It's part of being someone who wants to belong. But now you know what it is. And knowing is enough to give you a half second of choice you didn't have before. A small gap between what the room wants and what you actually think. And in that gap is your own voice. Quiet, maybe, but yours. So the next time you catch yourself nodding before you've even decided, just notice it. You don't have to change everything at once. Just come back to that one honest question, what do I actually think? And let yourself hear the answer. And if the hardest part for you isn't the group itself, but the fear of being the one who lets them down, the one who says no, I made another video just about that. About why disapproval can feel so unbearable, and how to carry it without losing yourself in the process. It's a gentle place to go next. Take care of that quiet voice. It's been trying to tell you something all along.